The Jedi News interview. Mark Newbold interviews Dave Dorman.
But when I do the work for myself, it just depends on what the work is. I mean, if I'm doing, say, a comic strip for myself, I'll still use some of those commercial techniques because it can move the art along faster. When I'm doing a large canvas piece, which is what the Captain Nemo's will be, I look at it a little bit closer to more painterly techniques. Which I'll try to shy away from the commercial stuff, the commercial way of looking at it, and look at it more as a true painting. But all those techniques are ingrained in my head, and when I look at it and I look at a certain area and I say, okay, I can do it this particular way using this particular technique. But then, part of my brain says, well, it's a painting, make it a little bit more pure. And then the commercial part says, just do it the way you want to do it, because it's in the end, it's the look of the art, not how it was achieved.
The end result.
Yeah, exactly. So, I had a real struggle with that last year when I started to do these personal paintings. Was, do I want to stay pure as a painter, and I'll put that in quotes, as a painter, or, do I want to paint these pieces for myself? And so I just said, I'm going to paint them for myself. I've developed these techniques over the past 30 years, and they're part of me. And, why should I restrict myself because I'm painting on canvas and want these pieces to look like gallery pieces? Why should I restrict myself to just a painterly technique when I have all these other things under my belt that I could use? And so, it was sort of like a little burst of freedom when I decided that. And, so I'm just using all the techniques that I've garnered over the past 30 years to put onto these paintings that I want to paint for myself.
And your blog is the place to come and look at that sort of development that you've done. Your blog would give people a good indicator of how you've done that.
Right, exactly.
Brilliant.
And so I'm much more confident in what I'm doing because I'm not restricting myself.
Is that a key thing, to have confidence when you pick up the pen or the pencil or the brush or whatever, to think that you've got the tools you need in your skills to get onto the paper what you're trying to drag out of your mind? Is that something that you develop increasingly as the years go by?
Yeah, early on, one of the things you have to do if you're going to be a commercial artist is have confidence in your work. Because that's your business card, so to speak. Your art, and that's the thing that the client is going to see. And if the client is not happy with the work, they're not going to come back to you and give you more work. And your future clients see the poor work that you don't have confidence in, and they're not going to hire you either. So when I sit down at the drawing board, with my blank canvas or blank illustration board, after I've done my roughs and I have those approved, and I'm looking to translate that into a fully colored, fully rendered piece. If I don't have the confidence in looking at that board and seeing the painting already painted in my head so that I know what I'm going to be putting down in front of me, if I don't have the confidence that I can do it, I know that piece will not be what it should be. It won't represent the best that I can give. And as a commercial artist, every piece has to be the best, because that's the piece that is going to get you hired for the next piece.
I was going to say, you live or die by the last piece, almost.
Absolutely. And so the confidence thing is a really big factor to being able to produce a good piece of art. And so if I'm looking at the roughs and I'm looking at the board and I don't have my head wrapped around it, and I don't have the proper look in my head for what the final piece should look like, all I'm doing then is slapping paint on the board and hoping it's going to look like what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
Having the paint control me rather than me control the paint. So, confidence is a very big thing, and that's something that all commercial artists should learn early on. Is if you're not confident in what you do, you're just not going to produce, and so work hard, get the confidence, and you'll succeed.
Yeah. Now you've come back to Star Wars and gone away and come back and gone away, and again you've come back for Crimson Empire 3, as we mentioned earlier, and you're doing six covers, 6 issues of that.
Correct. Yes.
Would you in the future be happy to come back again and do other work? Would it have to be something that engaged you? Because obviously you've got a connection to Crimson Empire anyway, and obviously back in the day when you did Dark Empire and the Tales of the Jedi, and went off and did those, you did some of the Young Jedi books as well, didn't you?
Yes.
Jedi Knights books. Does it feel to you that it has to be, because Star Wars is such a huge arena now, that you could be telling stories from anything from 150 years after to 3,000 years before? Do you feel within that Star Wars arena that you need a connection to a certain story to really get your teeth into, or would you be happy to take on new challenges within that sort of galaxy far, far away?
The Star Wars universe is such a big universe. There's so much there that can be told, and I don't think that they've even scratched the surface of what's been what potentially can be told with the books and the comics right now. So, it's a very big world out there. I am very happy working in the Star Wars universe, whether it's a single cover with bounty hunters, or whether it's a series. The main thing for me is the challenge of making the image tell a good story, and the rendering of that image to be, good enough that when George Lucas looks at it, he says, "Yes, this is a part of my universe."
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter to me, and that really goes for any subject matter that I take on. I mean, I take on projects now that I feel challenge me, that interest me, and that are fun. All 3 of those fall into Star Wars very easily, but they also fall into Indiana Jones, Aliens and Predator, and Batman, and my own project, obviously, The Wasted Lands. And so, I just want to be challenged and have fun, and I can find that with almost any project.
Well, tell us a little bit about The Wasted Lands. We mentioned it earlier, but we've not really gone into any detail. What is that project really about?
Okay, well, I started The Wasted Lands probably about 10 years ago. It was an offshoot of a computer game called Skybox Into the Vortex, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And that game was 5 different painter/creators creating their own world within this computer game, and then you could travel to each world. So it was Brom created his world, and Julie Bell created hers, and who else was in there? I think John Bolton, I think, created one as well. So it's like 5 of us, and my little part of this game was called Projectile World. And so I created all these characters for that. And then a few years later, I started taking these characters and sort of reworking them into what would eventually be my Wasted Lands universe. And after I worked up a storyline that would tie a lot of these characters together, I did a graphic novel called Rail that came out from Image Comics in 2003, 2002, I think. So that was sort of the genesis of The Wasted Lands. The Wasted Lands is, how would I describe it in a few words? It would be sort of a motorcycle, Western, zombie, surfing, horror, thriller, adventure thing.
Everything you could ever want.
Well, everything that I enjoy out of stories that I just throw in and mix together.
Yeah.
And hopefully other people who have similar interests to me pick up the book and say, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." So it's a tribute for me. It's sort of a tribute to Sergio Leone westerns and Jean Giraud's and Charlier's Blueberry comics and the cool Judge Dredd stuff, and it's like taking all the best of European comics and American special effects movies and just sort of jumbling them up and throw them together.
So you can hear the infectious. You're obviously passionate about it. It comes across. So it's a bit of a passion project, is it?
Yeah, it is very much so. I mean, it's all me. I'm doing the artwork. I'm plotting it. I wish I was a better writer, but I'm not. So I'm pulling in some writer friends to help me do the actual scripting.
Yeah.
But I may do some scripting myself. Confidence. You go back to the confidence thing.
Exactly.
I may do some scripting myself on that. But what's happening and why I feel real excited about it is that this year we're going to relaunch Wasted Lands with a reprint of the old book with some new material in it, a new book, and possibly either late this year or early next year. I have some novels that tie in with it that I'll be doing full-page illustrations for. And we have a figurine of one of the figures that will be premiering in San Diego this year. And a couple other things that are going to be tying in with it. And once again, I ask people to, visit the blog and visit the Twitter site, because that'll have, a lot of the information. My website, unfortunately, is locked up somewhere in the ether of the internet, and I'm trying to get it back so that I can make some changes on it. So if you go to my website, it'll have old information, but still, I think it has links to the Twitter site and the blog site. But the actual information on my website is old until I can get back into it and get control of it.
As a Star Wars fan, it's a thrill that Crimson Empire is coming back, but it wouldn't have been the same if I hadn't have had your artwork on the cover. So a lot of us out there got a real kick knowing that you were back in the Star Wars universe. So.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that, and I don't think that there was ever a time where Mike and Randy had thought of a different artist for the cover. Because I've always been in the loop as far as information, about the writing and the delays and stuff. So very happy that I still have been considered a part of the team, after all this time. And I think that Mike and Randy consider that as well, that I was part of the team to begin with, and having me be part of the team that finishes the series is something that keeps a good continuity for everybody, including the fans.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely part of the team to us.
Thanks.